Hi, my name is PeeJ, let me not waste your time. Today I'll be showing you every single way you can mask inside of DaVinci Resolve, including other third-party websites that you can use to mask out your subjects. But first, what is masking? In video editing, masking is a technique used to selectively hide or reveal certain portions of a video clip or image. It is similar to using a stencil or a cutout to control which parts of a video are visible and which parts are hidden. There are many ways you can make a mask through different effects, but first, here's the most basic way of masking an image in DaVinci Resolve. Right now, my clips are compound clips, and so you can just right-click it, go up to compound clip, and this allows us to have a Fusion page that starts from frame 0, which I like doing. So we can go here, click it, and we can go into Fusion over here. Now we can just make our viewer bigger like this by clicking that button, and then we have our nodes over here. And the basic way that you're going to mask out anything in DaVinci Resolve is usually through the polygon masking. So I could bring this up over here. There's this little polygon node over here on our toolbar. I'm just going to bring this down over here. And then if we connect this polygon to the blue input of the media in, that is the mask input. So anytime a node has a blue input, that is the mask input of the footage. So let's bring this over here. Let's connect to the media in, and as you can see, our image is gone because we can't see it. So all we have to do is select the polygon, go up to invert, and we can now see our image. And then now we can start creating our masks. So say we want to make the shape of this flower over here, and we can do that very easily just by doing this. So let's go over here, make sure at the top we have our mask controls up here. We want it to be on the click append tool up here. We can go over here and we can start clicking. So click at our first point on our mask over here, and then we're going to add another point over here, and this is going to create our mask. And as you can see, right now it's not very accurate, but right now I'm just going to go and do a rough outline of our mask of what we want to do. So let's do that, and let's go over here. Let's go over here. Anytime there's really like a corner or a little change in direction, you want to be moving your mask. And also, if you don't have your point in the right place, you can select it and put it in the right place if you want. And so I'm just going to pretty much holding down middle mouse to scroll along my image like this. I'm using control and middle mouse to scroll to zoom in on certain points. So I'm going to zoom in to this point and get this right point over here. And now we're just going to do this for the rest of our flower over here. I'm just trying to use as less points as possible, because then we're going to smooth them out. And the less points you have, the easier it is to manipulate, especially if you have a video that has multiple frames. You just want to manipulate less points. And so I'm just going to do this somewhere over here. It's a pretty straight path, so I can go all the way down here, maybe to the corner of the edge over here. And let's select that and go over here. It's going to dip it again, so let's go over here and let's go like that. And then we just do this outside blue area. So you can either start masking the whole subject inside of this area over here, and I can go over there and do all that, or I can just mask out this certain area. Actually, let's just go over here and let's do everything. Let's go over here, do that, and then over here, let's do another point here, and let's do that, do this, and do this. And that's not further down. I should put it further down so it's off the screen. And so we can go around here all the way up to the top. I'm just going to skip this portion for now so we can just go along with the rest of the tutorial. And now I have this point that you can bring this up. And if you can't really adjust this point, or you can't really grab it good enough, you can actually just highlight that point, hold down Alt on your computer, and then just drag up this point, click and drag anywhere, and then point, pull this up, and you can just drag that to wherever you want. And now you can see our mask over here. It's kind of hard to see the edges, so I can actually just unselect this polygon over here and then have it selected, and then you can see all the points, and you can still see your whole image just like this. And so now we're going to go to each point and highlight each point and make sure it's in the right place. And then we're going to adjust the spline. So there's another point, there's a line coming across from this point. So there's a line over here and a line over here. It's all yellow. It also has a little square at the end, and we're going to adjust this. So let's pull this out, and we're going to adjust this. So this other line is going to be our outline basically of this subject here. And so we just want to balance these two lines. So each line between 2 points has 2 of these, one on each point. So there's that one here, and there's this one over here. And so I'm just going to drag this point over here and see. Now we have our little edge just like this. It might be not too accurate enough, so let's just bring this back over here. And so basically you just want to kind of learn how to manipulate this graph in order to get the cutout that you want, just like this. And I think that should be good enough. And basically we do that for the rest of our points that we put down. So good thing we put down not a lot of points, so we don't have to do a lot of work, just like this. All right. Now, the way that I'm adjusting each handle individually is by selecting it, holding down control, and moving the graph just like this. If I don't hold down control and I move it, it will actually move both points like this. And we don't want that. We just want to move one point of the graph, and just like this. Oh, and highlight that and do that. So you have a problem manipulating a certain part of the graph and you just need to add another point. You can do that right now at the beginning, just like this, and do something like this. All right, and then we can just adjust that again. And so we have our mask to be accurate, and let's do some more. There's another point over here, which I kind of need one, so I'm just going to do one that's close to the point, and then we could adjust this down here. So now it's a little more accurate, like that, and that point's not too bumpy for our mask. This one I might need to add another point. Bring this up over here. Maybe even around over here. This. Bring this here. Maybe this little part is too little long, so let's shorten that. There we go. Mark this. All right, now we have our mask like this. It's nice, and we can just plug this into our media in over here. It's like this, and now we have our mask cut out like this, and then we can actually go back and invert this mask, so we actually have this cut out over here. Say there's another part of our mask that we will need to cut out, say this blue part over here. We can just add another polygon node over here, do this, and connect it to the polygon one over here, and then let's create our mask over here really quick, and then maybe something like this and like that. Now it's closed. All right, like that, and see now we have our cutout like this. Say it's not fully blending the right way that we want, and so there's different modes. So if you actually go back to our polygon over here, since we added another polygon to it, there's a little thing called a paint mode that popped up. This allows us to combine masks in different ways. And so the way that I believe we need to do here is that we need to subtract this mask from this one, and the way that we need to do this is that I believe we go down here and we are going to hit invert, and now it will take this selection and then invert that selection that we have over here. And yeah, that's how we combine a mask like that. And if you don't know which paint mode that you need to use in order to do it, just play around with all of them and see which one is the correct one that you need. Usually doing this will give you the correct one that you want, and if that doesn't work as well, you can just invert the selections on each one. So maybe if we invert this one over here, we can see the mask will go like that, something along those lines. All right, so invert is the one that we need to use over here, and maybe our mask is a little too sharp and say it doesn't get the edges correctly just the way we want, so we can actually go over here and go up to soft edge and increase that a little bit, and that'll give us a little bit of a buffer on how accurate our mask is, and we can use that for both of our nodes over here, and that'll just give us a little bit of a soft edge, just like that. A couple things I forgot to mention before, but some common mistakes that people usually encounter when using the polygon node is one, that their mask isn't working. That's because they didn't fully connect the polygon node, so the ends meet like this, and once those two ends meet, then you will see the mask actually work. And the way that you make sure that this works is that make sure you're on the click append tool, and then you'll be able to click, and there you go, that will close your mask just like this. As well as usually on the frame that you start masking on, there will be a keyframe there saving whatever your mask shape looks like over here, and then say you go to a different keyframe over here and then keyframe this again, you move your mask points like this, then it will save the position of where those frames are, and then between those two keyframes the mask will interpolate in between those, saving the points of where they are at and the way that the curves are. And so basically, if you want to make sure that you have the right mask for the right frame, go over to the frame that you want with the mask you have and keyframe that over here just like that, and then you can get rid of all your other keyframes that are on this position over here, and we can just make sure that we have the correct mask for the correct keyframe. All right, so now we have our subject masked out, and so say if we add a merge node, so we can go up and we could grab this one over here, it says merge, bring it down here, and then we need to have a background, so let's grab a background node and put it over here. Let's connect the background to the yellow input, which is the background part of the merge, and then put the media in to the green input of the merge over here. Put this merge one to the media out. As you can see, now we have a color for our background from what we masked out, and we can change this to whatever we want, whatever color we want over here, just like this. And yeah, that is the basic way of masking out. And now there's other ways that I like to structure my node structure like this. So say I actually just want to keep the same background over here, I'm going to get rid of this background node, and we're going to plug in the media in to both the yellow and the green input of this merge. And I don't like these lines being too close together, so I'm going to hit Alt, and I'm going to click on this green line over here. So it's going to create a what's called a pipe node, and we're going to bring this pipe all the way up over here. And so now if you merge on this merge one here, you can see that this is still masked out because we actually need to put our masks on this merge over here. So whatever is on the green input over here is going to be masked out by whatever you put on these mask inputs over here. So let's do this, and let's add that over here. And then now you can see nothing has changed. But say now if I add something in the back, say let's add a merge over here. Let's merge this to the background over here, and let's add our background that we had over here before, and do that. As you can see, now we have the same look that we have over here, but now we have it kind of in a nicer way. So let's actually move this so if you see this thing, our masks just like this. All right, now so it's kind of more organized like this, and now I can actually add more things on this background node over here. So say I want to add text, we can add text over here, and let's merge this onto the background node over here, and let's type my name. just like that. And if we move view our media out over here and let's make this text bigger because it's actually behind this little pedal over here, you can see it is behind here, just like that. And yeah, that's kind of the way that I do this. If you don't want to add a background node and you just want to add the text, just get rid of this background node and this merge and just connect this text to this merge back here, and then now you will have it behind your text just like this. And you can do this for any subject over here. This is how you put text behind an image or an object or a person in DaVinci Resolve. And that's one of the most asked questions on the channel. So yeah, that is the basics on how to do that. Now say that we play our image and you can see the flower is actually moving and the mask is not moving with it, so that's a problem. So what we need to do is actually animate this mask. So let's just take like the basic mask we have over here, it's just this one, and let's just start animating that one. So what we need to do, usually when you have your polygon or on the frame that you added the node on, it will have the right click here for shape animation already keyframed, and if that is not already keyframed, you can just click the keyframe right there and it's going to turn orange. So now it will save this selection on this one frame. And so if we go a couple frames forward, move here, frames forward, now it changes. So in order to adjust for this change, what we need to do is go back one frame and make sure that this selection is saved for this frame. So let's add a keyframe there. Let's go to the next frame and then we're going to keyframe again, and then we're going to change the position of all these places. Let's get rid of this so we can see this a little bit better. So let's go to our viewer and let's go up here and let's adjust the position that we have our frames at. So let's select this, let's bring this over here just like this, and you're going to do this for all the frames that you want. That's why doing this traditional masking method is a little bit more of a pain to do, but it will give you the most accurate results. This would be how you would have to manually mask something out if you are doing this method. And right now I'm just highlighting this, I'm holding down Alt and then moving this keyframe so it's a little bit there, and then we actually need to adjust the look of this line over here. So we just move this graph down here like that, move this one up a little bit, there we go. Select this one, let's drag this a little bit down here, this one, so we can drag this down here. Might need to put more points, but we'll worry about that later. If we do add more points to our graph, then we will actually have to start animating more points, and we don't really want to do that. So let's just work with what we got for now. This one actually stayed in the right place, so we just need to adjust the graph like this, and then maybe we just adjust this graph at the bottom over here. And now I'm not gonna worry about maybe I'll work out this one. All right, and now we have our mask for 2 frames. If we select it and we can see our mask move, so we have it at this frame, and then now when it moves, it adjusts to that frame over here, and then you have to do that for the rest of your scene like that, and it gets very annoying. So that's why we would use the next method, which is keying. So see that we actually have very contrasting colors in our scene. So this one is a very saturated blue, and this is actually a very light pink, or light purple, excuse me. And it's because there's a very large contrast in colors, we can actually use a process called keying. So keying is usually what you would do when you want to take out a green screen, and so I can use different keyers that we have in DaVinci Resolve. So I'm going to hit Shift Space, and my favorite one to use is the chroma keyer. So I'm going to type in chroma, and chroma keyer pops up. Let's add that to our node graph over here, make sure it's on the yellow input, and then now we could click our chroma keyer, and then we could click whatever color we have on our screen in our viewer and drag a box around it, and it'll take away that color over here. So now we just keep taking away the color over here, just get all of that blue area like this. Take that selection, go in and zoom in and go over here. You can get these little parts over here, and it's much faster and more efficient than just doing masking just like that. Let's go over here, let's get all of this blue just like this. And once you have a selection that you're happy with, or that is close enough to what you think is good, then we could just have this here. What's great about the chroma keyer is that it colors out all those colors that we just selected for the rest of the composition over here. So let's just play it back, and you can see all the blue is out of here. And even if you have little blue that pops up back over here, you can just click the chroma keyer again and then take out that other blue, and it will save that selection that you have. And yeah, there will be no more problems over here. So you can see the edges are a little rougher compared to what the mask was earlier, but that is okay because there's certain settings that we could do in order to fix this. So if we go on the chroma keyer and we go up to matte and we go to blur, it will start blurring the edges of this, as you can see, so making a smoother gradation from the background. And so that'll kind of give you a better look of what your mask is going to look like, as well as if we do the contract and erode or expand, it will give us a little more edge or not, depending on what we do with that. But yeah, that is the basics of keying. There's multiple different keyers in DaVinci Resolve. There is the delta keyer, which is basically when you have a green screen. That is the one you probably will use the most. I'll probably use that later, but it will give us a range of the colors like this, and it'd go mess with the threshold, and that will give us our different selections just like that. But it's taking all the blue color that's in this image, because since there's purple and blue, it's leaving us with a little red flower over here with delta keyer. So that's why I use the chroma keyer, because the chroma keyer does a certain range of colors, and it's more specific to the actual color you are selecting. All right. right, now there's also other ways of masking, and with the DaVinci Resolve Studio version, they've added a new tool called the Magic Mask, which allows us to mask much easier using AI technology, and we'll show this right here. So we're going to select the media in, we're going to shift space, we're going to type in Magic Mask. Let's add this to our timeline over here, and then at the beginning of our composition, let's make a selection with this add tool that we have over here. So I'm just going to drag around here, and let's just draw right where we want to select. So we want to select all the flower petal all the way around here, go down over the way down here, up around, get around here, and let's do that. And that should be a good selection. And I actually want to go and make this better. So right now it's on faster, so it's going to render faster. I want it on better because I want it to be more accurate. And let's see what this selection goes. It's going to take a little bit. All right, so now we see we have a selection just like this. It's not too perfect, but you can see it did a pretty good job. And so if we want to get rid of certain parts that we want selected, we can just hold down Alt, and that'll give us a minus eyedropper over here. And let's just drag on that on the blue because we don't want any of the blue there. And I did a good job for that. So maybe if we want to add a little bit more of our petal back, let's drag our line over here, and that's all right. And let's do the same thing over here. Get rid of that. All right, so I did a good job. I think it's getting rid of our flower petal a little bit over here. So let's add that line back over here. And then now we're going to track our frames forward with our mask. So let's do that. Go up to here. It's going to track all these frames that we have in our composition forward. Let's see how well that does. All right, not bad. It did mess up on a little bit on the bottom over here, but if we do see that mess up, we can just go over to that frame and then fix that correction. Over here, we will just have to re-render all these past frames over here. Do that, and then just process those frames. And all right, that's the best we're going to do. I think this is going to be a problem, and hopefully we won't have to put anything there. But for the most part, that is how you use the Magic Mask. Usually it does pretty well, especially if you're doing a quick mask and you can just adjust the values you want. And let's say we want to blur this a little bit more. So now we have that selection, and we need to rotate it so we can get more of that selection, or go back and we can not blur it at all, and we can do that selection again with that matte, or bring it down just like this. And we also do the threshold in between each of these lines, so we can bring this down. See, it will take away more things, or we can bring back more of our edge over here, and yeah, something like this. And maybe take that down just a little bit like that, and look, now our mask is pretty well done, and just like that, not too bad. So there is another AI that is actually free to use, and where we can actually mask this out. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to go to Runway ML, switch it up, and let's go to Runway ML. I already have an account. We can try Runway for free. Let's log in. And all right, once we are here, we are on the dashboard over here. Let's go to projects, and we can see all the projects I have before. You're limited by 3 projects unless you did it before when they had unlimited projects. So now I have 4 projects. So we can actually just open up one of these up and say we want that clip that we are working on over here. We actually have to render this out. So let's go back over here, and this has this clip selected, and we're gonna right click it. We're gonna go up to render in place right here, and then we can do whatever we want. QuickTime is fine, or MP4. I think I usually prefer MP4. Like that, and then these settings are fine. I'm just gonna render. It's gonna choose me a place to save, and it's gonna put it on my desktop over here. So now our render should be on our desktop. This is from a project I had before. The render is over here, and let me just delete what I have over here because it's already happened. And then let's drag our footage that we have from here onto our timeline over here, and bam, now we have our clip that is here. And now we could go up to magic tools, and we can start go to our green screen, and now we can click on an area to start masking, as you can see. So let's add this point, let's add this point, and now it's starting to generate a mask for free using this website. I'm just clicking for points I want selected, and did a pretty good job. And just add more points. You want this part, definitely want this part. And all right, our selection is pretty good. And now let's track this forward. So we can actually just see, let's preview it. And they should have already tracked everything forward, just like that. And now we can see every single frame is actually way better than the Resolve one, but actually we have one little mistake in the top right hand corner over here. In order to get rid of a point that we want to get rid of, let's go to mode, let's go to exclude, and then make sure you're on the first frame. If we're on exclude, let's put it down over here. Let that process. And we might need to guide it just a little bit. Hold down H to drag, drag over here. Let's zoom in, adjust this area over here, and hopefully you get the gist of this little space area that we want deselected. All right, and I think that's did a good job. And now we could check over here, and that's pretty good. Yeah, so if you have a problem, anything with any of this down the line, you can actually go to the certain frame, and then you could adjust anything. But we have kind of an edge over here, but that's okay. We'll fix it with something else. But for the most part, this is our subject. That's good. All right, once we have this, we can go up to export, and now we have our green screen just like this, and we can choose which background color we want. You can either choose green, blue, or whatnot, and we can just use steel green because that's a color that we don't have in our comp. And if you buy the upgraded version, you have these better resolutions, but right now we just have the export with 720 and MP4, and then we don't need the audio, and we just export our mask, and basically that'll put it to their queue that we have over here. And so now you can see it's exported. And so let's go over, we see our green screen over here. Let's right click it and download it, and then let's just save it to our desktop again. Now once this is here, we can actually drag this into Resolve, and if we just drag it straight onto our timeline, it'll go right where we have our footage, just like this. And there are two ways we can import it into our footage over here. We can just either go like this, right click it, and we go into a new Fusion composition, or we could just take this render over here, go inside of Fusion, and then open our media pool, grab it from our media pool, and then put it on our flow graph over here, close that. And the way that we would do it over here, so we can see we have a 1920 by 1080 composition over here, and our footage is actually in 1280 by 720. And so if we can, what we need to do is upscale this footage a little bit so it's the correct resolution. And the way that we do that is with either the scale node or the resize node. So I'm just gonna use the resize node. Resize over here, let's look at it, and now it's at our correct resolution, just like this. And then we don't have our mask yet, so we need to actually key this out. So we're gonna add our delta key we talked about before, delta key here, and then let's select our green, just like this. And now we have our mask. And with this footage, we can connect it to our media in, and now we will have our mask footage out. And say you don't want to actually mask the media in, there's multiple ways you can add this mask. So let's hit shift space and then add a matte control. For this over here, we're gonna add this to our media in, make sure that's on the yellow input, and then we're gonna select our delta key here. We're gonna hold down Alt and then go over the matte control, let go, and then we're gonna hit on garbage mask. I'm gonna view this matte control. As you can see, our mask is working right here, and if it's not working and you need to invert it, you go over here to the matte control over here, go down to garbage matte, and then hit invert, and that will invert it just like this. And yeah, basically that's how we have our mask using the AI technology. Say we have a still image and we want to extract Sumi over here, we can just right click this and we can go to save image, rename it, and then change the file type to PNG or JPEG, use the JPEG, and then save that to wherever your files are. Or if you want to do it a different way, you can go to up to file, down export, and then go to current frame as still, export current frame as still, and you can put it wherever we want. Let's put it in my desktop, and let's just say Sumi. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to photopea.com instead of Runway, Photopea. And then we could drag any files into here to open up a new project. So let's take this over here, let's drag this into here, and now we have our one frame. The way that we're going to erase the background is we're going to select with the magic wand tool over here, and we're going to select the background. So we're going to click on it where we want it, and we're going to hold down shift, and we're going to select other more spaces that we want, even just drag certain places that we want, but sometimes you'll get the main character that you don't want, so I'd be mindful of that. I just click these spaces that are gaps or have here, just like this, and say you have certain stuff that like doesn't want to get selected with the magic wand, you could actually hit L to go to the lasso tool, and then hold down shift still, and then circle all that over here, and that'll add to your selection of what you want to have selected. And let's do that. So we have a little bit over here selected, and let's zoom in real quick. So over here, let's say we want to have that little part of our hair selected, hold down shift and then drag with your mouse and make it outline just like that. Put it to the rest of the comp. Actually, no, we don't want that. We actually want it excluded. So we're actually going to hit Alt and then make our selection just like this. And now that'll add to the deselected. And let's just deselect the parts that we don't want selected just like this. And we don't want this part. We want this all to be a part of Sumi. Do this and even more, just wrap those edges a little bit more, and that should be fine. Even though like that, maybe you want to take this part out, let's shift and then drag and drag just like that. Now we have those pixels selected. And what else? I believe we want this to be selected with the main, shift and drag, and now it's connected. And now since we have a majority of the background selected, it should be everything. Now we just delete, and now everything's there, and then we hit Control D and that'll deselect everything. And now you can see we have our PNG just like this. It seems that there are spots I missed on this page, so I'm just going to take our lasso tool and we're just going to select everything around here, this, and delete. Now we have our subject masked out just like this, and we don't want to touch it, we don't want to move it. Now when we want to export this frame, we go up to file, go down to export as, and then PNG, and that will export her with a transparent background. And let's save, let's go desktop again, and then we can drag this file to our DaVinci, put it on top, or we can again put it in our composition over here, drag this over here, and then if we put this on top of here, as you can see, she's masked out for this one frame, and it won't be for the other frames, but it's just that one frame that we had selected. Or if you don't want to do this again as well, you can add a matte control, add that there, and then put that to the garbage mat, and now it'll be matted out for one frame. All right, another way of masking is masking inside of the color page. Now, I'm not the best at masking in the color page. Also, there's qualifiers you can also use to mask out, but I'm just going to show you the basic way of how I do it, and I can link it down below to other tutorials that can do it better than I do. All right, so we're going to have our clip. We're going to go into the color page over here, and then we're going to set up our workspace for our masking workflow. So I'm just going to get rid of the effects panel over here. Let's bring this over here, and what we need to, we can zoom in by holding down Alt and then zooming it over here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go down to add alpha output, and I'm going to connect this node, the blue square, to this blue circle over here. That's going to give us our alpha output out to the edit page when we want to use it, just like that. Next, we're going to go to this masking tab over here. So open up this window, and it'll show you the mask options. Go to the right side where the keyframes are. Instead of the scopes, we're going to open the keyframes and have this over here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to mask out our image the way we want. Say we're going to mask out this little pink square that is over here. So I'm going to use the pen tool to do that. And then I'm actually going to right click where we have this keyframes over here, and we're going to change these to add dynamic keyframes, and we're going to keyframe the corrector that we have over here, and now we can start masking what we have over here. So the way we can do this is just we do as many points as we want, because for this one I'm going to change the different shape of the pen tool every single time, and that's kind of what I like to do with the masking in the color page. Otherwise I would just be masking in the fusion page. But other than that, we have this, and then we have our mask like that. If you want to curve the points, you can, if you hold down control and then drag on a point, it will create a curve, and you can adjust the curve just like that. And that is something you can do if you want to be more specific, but I just want to do something like that. And then I want to go to the next frame. So over here, so let's just hit right arrow once to there, and then we have our mask saved over there. But I want to make a different mask, say I want to expand it or something like that. So I'm just going to right click over here, and we're going to add another dynamic keyframe, and then we need to get rid of this selection for this mask over here that we already have. So the way we do that is we go to the three dots over here, and then go to reset selected window, and that'll get rid of the mask. And then I could create a new one. Say I want to do something like this, and then close the mask like that. And then now we can go between those two frames, and that will be two different frames just like that. And usually this will be good for scenes that have a lot of movement where you need to redo the mask different times. That's why it's important to know how to do it, especially since it's kind of a little bit tricky to do it in the first place like that. But that is how you mask in the color page. Now, I want to go over more advanced ways or creative ways of doing masks in our video editor program over here. So let's just take this away, and say we have at our Sumi PNG that we have over here, we can actually add this with a mat control. So mat control, and bring this over here, and let's add this as a mask or a garbage mat. Let's view our mat control. As you can see, our mask is just Sumi, and our footage is shown there. But we can go to our garbage mask, and we have different channels that we can select from. So right now, it's reading the alpha channel of this image over here. So this is the alpha channel. As you can see, alpha is the color of the transparency. So at 0, that means there's no footage there. It's transparent. At 1, that means there's something there. So if I like go over and highlight on Sumi, you can see at the bottom of our screen over here, it says A1, which is the alpha channel, and that means there's something there. And with 0, there's not something there. And then sometimes you can have stuff that's in between. So let's add like a blend. Let's add like a blend over here, and then we bring this down. As you can see, now our alpha channel is a different. It's like semi-transparent. So you can like see part of the background, but you can also see her. And yeah, there's also other color channels like the color red, the color green, and the color blue, the RGB channels, which are what the building blocks are of making an image. For example, if I want to take these colors apart, let me just add a transform node. Let's bring this, connect this to the transform node over here. Go up to my settings, and then I must deselect all of these other channels. So right now it's processing all those channels. Right now, I only wanted to process the red channel. If I move this right now, as you can see, I am moving only the red channel of this image, and now all the rest of the channels are over here. That I said, let me just enable the green. Now the red and the green are over here, and now the blue and the alpha are still there. I select the alpha, now the alpha is over here, and now we just have the blue channel that's left. And now if we select the blue, now everything is connected like that. And so as you can see, there are 4 different channels of colors that are used in order to create an image and to have what we want, just like this. And you can actually use those channels in order to drive certain masks. For example, let's go delete this, and let's go to our mat control, and say right now we're looking at the alpha channel in order to drive this mask. Instead of doing the alpha channel, we can actually go and do the red channel, and now it only takes the red. Remember we said talking about the red channel, it only takes the red channel, and it will use the red channel as the mask. Or we can go do blue or do green, just like this. But there's also another one called luminance. Luminance is one that you could use. And so basically it's looking at the brightness of the image over here. So let's just turn this into black and white just real quick. Saturation down. As you can see, this shows us the luminance. So right now, like the whitest parts of the image are the brightest and the black parts of the image are the darkest, and that will drive the value of our mask. So basically whatever is black will be 0 alpha, and whatever is white will be full opaqueness in our mask. So that is basically what the luminance channel is looking at. Also, the alpha also counts as black as well over here. So let's take a black and white image, for example. Let's take like a circle that we have over here. Circle, and let's take a view, and you can see it is white over here and then black in the background. And if we take that and put it to our garbage map over here, you can see that is over here. Even if there is no transparency, let's just add a background node to this with a black background, just like this, like Control T and like that. So now we have a black and white image, and that is driving the mask of this map control over here, and we can do whatever we want with this. And yeah, that's a more advanced understanding of how masking works. It all depends on the colors channel and the way that the node is reading these colors that drives the shape that we want to our mask. And I mentioned this because like in other tutorials before, for example, the luma transition, the luminance is what's being read from this node, and it's getting rid of the bright parts, or it's getting rid of the dark parts of the image and then going all to the bright parts, or the other way around, getting rid of the low parts and making everything transparent. But animating that will allow you to have a luma transition as well as bringing in certain mattes. For example, let's bring in a black and white video. For example, this video right here, let's get rid of this. We view this video right here, you can see it's a black and white video. Let's actually move this more so we can actually see like the actual paint over here. All right, so now we have something like this. So this is a black and white image, and we put it into our matte control that is looking at the luminance of the image over here, the garbage matte, and now it will create a mask dependent on this. Right now, this is like the wrong resolution. That's why it looks smaller on our external image over here. So we just add a resize node like that, and then now that is perfect, just like this. And yeah, so see wherever the image is black and wherever it is will be transparent, just like this, and wherever the image is white will show up over here, just like this. And we can also invert this if we wanted to, like that. And now we have the black that is showing, and the white is taking it away. So yeah, that's just understanding of how the channels for the masks work. And so maybe hopefully that explanation helps you, and you can use that to your advantage when you're wanting to do any of these methods above, or creating your own Luma mask or map, or any other animation that you want to do in the future. That is all from me. Hope this helps.